Pasito tum tum, pasito tum tum, pasito tum tum, pasito tum tum.
Hey, you thought I was out for good? Wrong. This is your Willie, not CM Punk. Welcome to a classic modern review. This is what I'm gonna do, just like I did in last summer, is I'll be giving quick thoughts on 7 movies that came out on this winter. I'm not gonna do them all, so if you don't see La La Land, sorry. Though I heard that it's kinda good, and I also heard that The Passenger it's really bad. So let's begin with the most anticipated movie of this year. It's Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Everyone's already saying that it's as good as The Empire Strikes Back. Well, I don't know about that, but hell yeah, was that damn good! While it's not better than Empire Strikes Back, it is by far the most darkest. You know what the story is if you're a Star Wars fan. A group of fighters led by Gene and Captain Andor help the rebellion to steal the Death Star plans and find a way to destroy it, therefore lining up to A New Hope and fixing some of the problems from the original and make a few of their own. Seriously, were these guards fired after Rogue One or what? How come they don't show up in the originals? Anyways, you can spot the corny moments of it, but it's the only Star Wars that it's about, well, war! It almost has a Middle Eastern feel at times. There are some memorable side characters in here. Both lead characters are not the most character-driven, but they're interesting in a war view perspective. It's always fun to see the Imperial villains, including the new one, Director Krennic, played by Ben Mendelsohn. If I could compare it to Force Awakens, is this one has better action sequences. The last 40 minutes of it is nothing but pew 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 pew, and it's awesome! In the end, it's a good action war movie that you'll be able to spot some cameos by incredible CGI work and the return of a famous villain out there. If you're a fan of Star Wars, then Rogue One is a movie to see 3 times in a crowded theater of fans. This is a fish I will give to Lord Vader as a holiday gift. Let's move on to the next animated picture from Disney, Moana. You know, I was really looking forward to being the next follow-up to Frozen. Boy, did this winter cool it down just a bit. While it's nice to base it on the Polynesian culture, I really was hoping for a great modern film from Disney and was just okay. A princess named Moana voyages through the sea to find a demigod named Maui, voiced by Dwayne Johnson, and convince him to return a stolen heart from the gods so it can break a curse that prevents Moana's village on surviving on their island. As a family picture, it's not bad. Some of the animation looks very pretty with the ocean, the songs can be catchy, though not as great as the other recent ones. Moana is a strong independent female, Dwayne Johnson is funny as always, and their interaction is a lot of fun. But my gripe with it is that it's a culture Disney opened up to and it felt very underwhelming. It follows the same animated cliches that you've seen a million times before. You know how they're going to end up and some of them make no sense. I don't know, maybe it's just the cynical side of me that doesn't let me see how come people love this movie that much. There's really nothing terrible about it. It's a good film to show to your kids, and if you're a Disney fan, then this is a must-see. But when you have to follow up to Frozen, then for me it leaves it too short of crossing the ocean. This is a fish that tastes good at first, but loses its taste. Now let's move on to Fantastic Beasts and where to find them after opening up to one of the most boring 20 minutes of my life. It picks up from there only to be okay. It takes place decades before most of your favorite Harry Potter characters still existed. A British magician who carries in his bag what seem to be a bunch of Pokemon that escape, and now he's gotta catch them all, and fight some evil wizards. You know how there's the really good Lord of the Rings sequels and the okay Hobbit sequels? Well, this is what I was expecting, to start up just being okay. I can't remember any of these names. The main lead, I'm sorry, but he does nothing for me. Okay, he cares about animals, and that's it. Outside of that, he is completely forgettable. Actually, the side characters are more entertaining than him, but it picks up when they focus on the creatures, which
look creative enough, but not as great in CGI. There's really not much of a wow or awe moments as I was hoping. Well, is there anything worthwhile? Oh yes, the villains are the best. Colin Farrell and Ezra Miller is the most interesting out of all of them. Fantastic Beast is not horrible. I'm sure the fans will be happy to know there will be at least 5 more prequels of it. But if he's going to be the main lead of this new series, please at least make it more interesting. Otherwise, Fantastic Beast might be less of fantastic. This is a fish. I would expect to patrol his fins all the way.
Coming up next is Collateral Beauty. Did you know it's a Christmas story? And you know what Hollywood does in this one time of the season? Well, they just remind us about terrible people we know as this movie is!
Talk about false advertisement! If you've seen the trailer, you know it's about Will Smith who tragically loses his daughter and then encounters these 3 spiritual beings embodied as people, love, time, and death. And you might think they're actually here to help him out, right? Wrong. What really is about is Will Smith's 3 best friends and co-workers who discover he talks to love, time, and death. And because he can't work like he used to because he's so depressed on his daughter's death, they hire 3 actors to play love, time, and death to make him look like he's crazy and remove him from his job. This is a terrible, manipulative, mean-spirited movie! And if you're a fan of the Christmas feelings of kindness and all of that, it makes it even worse! This was horrible, and I feel bad because the acting is so good. Will Smith is a good actor here, but sometimes I felt it was over the top with his depression. And these 3 supposed spirits? I like it! I actually found it very unique and interesting, and instead we get this horrible mess of manipulation. We're supposed to sympathize with these 3 when they're scheming to remove their emotionally damaged friend from his job? Screw you! This could have been the modern Ebenezer Scrooge story, but his friends... Oh, I hate his 3 friends! Collateral Beauty? More like a fish, Arnold Schwarzenegger would do collateral damage.
Put that cookie down!
Enough of that shizzle! Let's move on to a better one. Allied. You know, at first it might seem like an uninteresting film, but there's some aspects about it that make you want to stay and see what happens next.
This is the same director who did some very well-known movies such as the Back to the Future trilogy, Forrest Gump, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and so on and so forth. It takes place in 1942 in World War II where 2 spy couples pretend to be in love, played by Brad Pitt and Marion Cotillard. But because they can't help just how hot looking they are, they of course fall in love, but later the truth about one of them is discovered, and here's where the suspension begins. What really caught me was how classic this movie felt. It's like if you were watching a movie from the 40s, and that's what this film is. A tribute to a very popular one that some of you might have recognized by this moment. You know what else looks similar? Mr. and Mrs. Smith! And by that I mean Brad Pitt's romance is as bland as in the other. If you're a fan of the old classic movies, I say you should check on this one. The romance, though not as strong, it has some nice cinematography work that keeps you in the suspense, and it's obviously trying to be Casablanca, which nobody's ever gonna be. This is a fish the Humphrey Bogart would stick out his neck for out of pity.
Moving on to an early one from November is Arrival, about the arrival of aliens on the Earth. But it's not the generic Martians attacking the world, but a more realistic approach of what if aliens did actually come to this planet.
A linguistic expert, played by Amy Adams, leads a team of investigators to learn the language of these new arriving aliens, and it asks what any normal person would ask. Are they friendly? Are they hostile? We learn how fully advanced they are and how they approach things, and it's really fascinating. As well as showing how the world would approach it, how people would interpret it in different ways, nations would be split whether they're to be trusted. It's almost close to being like Contact, which had another realistic approach of it. As for Amy Adams, well, at least she found a way to redeem herself with this alien movie from that Other alien movie! I don't know if Jeremy Renner's was necessary in here. The story can be confusing at times, but it has a well foundation with some nice shot cinematography and uniquely designed images. This is a fish Amy Adams would defend from Hawkeye.
And finally, we move on to Doctor Strange. Going into it, I knew nothing about this character, so I thought, okay, another origin story. Let's get this over with. And interestingly, it's actually up there in Marvel's top 10 good movies.
The best way to describe it, it's like if Iron Man went to the Matrix and woke up in Inception. A surgeon loses the ability to move his hands after an accident, played by Benedict Cumberbatch. He goes for help from Hindu monks to heal him, but they turn out to be warriors that teach him mystical powers to fight villains that seek out to destroy the world. Out of all the superhero movies that came out this year, this one I was least looking forward to seeing. I knew what was going to be. Another origin story, the hero learns how to use his powers, fights a villain no one cares, and joins the Avengers. But it has its own spin in it. Doctor Strange is charismatic, starting off as arrogant, but later being humbled and learning how to adapt to his powers. The villain is also kind of interesting. The side characters are fun. I did not mind the whitewash of Tilda Swinton's character. Oh, and let's not forget about the visuals in here. Oh boy, these are some of the best complicated visuals that I've seen in a while. So much so that it doesn't need the Avengers. This movie can solely depend on him alone, because its own unique world of mysticism, philosophies, religion, and some top-notch special effects that are definitely worth checking out. This is a fish I would send to the Fifth Element to make a bargain with.
Now, if you missed any of these reviews, here's a quick sum up of what I thought about these movies. Rogue One, a Star Wars story, is a thumbs up. Moana is a hesitant thumbs down. Fantastic Beasts is a hesitant thumbs down. Collateral Beauty is a definite thumbs down with no shame. Allied is a thumbs up. Arrival is another thumbs up. And finally, Doctor Strange is a thumbs up for me. Personally, I thought these winter movies were better than this summer, but if you've seen any of these, what are your thoughts on it? Have you liked them? Have you not liked them? What's your overall take on these winter movies? I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. You can leave your comments down below, like, subscribe, and what would be some movies you'd like me to review later? Well guys, with these parties taking over, I guess that's it for this year, but don't go anywhere, because I'll be coming back for more classics and modern reviews next year. So for now, that's it for today. Ciao.